Oh, welcome to another opening, a Facebook page devoted to all things performance, mostly in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, but sometimes I find something a little farther afield that I like to cover as well. And I've also launched a YouTube channel entitled Another Opening Dash a Celebration. Seems to be a lot of YouTube videos out there, another opening, most of them high school productions of Kiss Me Kate. Well, I hope you enjoy this episode. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am just so pleased. This has been a long fought, uh, long road to get these two people together, even just in the Zoomosphere. Forget about getting us in the same room. It's not going to happen. But, I got to understand because I'm trying to get together the Wicked Witch of the West and Jesus Christ. So that's tough. And we'll talk about what that means in a few moments, but we're going to go backwards to forwards. I set this up a long time ago or wanted to do this because I've worked with both of these actors before. Both of them are actors. One, I don't want to slight Ryan. I don't know if she's ever directed, but certainly Mike directs. And the show that I saw and was so thrilled with and was embarrassed because I didn't know Mike directed it. He was in it. So it was only I took my wife and my wife said, Mike directed the show. No, I don't know how I just passed the name in the program. It was just, okay, Mike's playing Neil Sedaka and something else, but I directed it too. The show was beautiful, and it's the Carole King story. And I found it, brilliantly done, acted, directed, and everything. But what I found fascinating about it is that the theater that it's at, which is the Stadium Theater, is one of those hybrid theaters. I call it that because they do, Rod Stewart, the imitation bands and comics, and they also have children's theater and classes. It's a wonderful operation in Woonsocket. And then they pepper in these produced at home shows, musicals mostly. And so I, went to see it, and because, of course, of Ryan, not because of Mike, because I didn't know anything about Mike. So, so, but what's different about it? It's not a tribute. I mean, it's a tribute in a sense, but it's the character is Carole King. It's not Mary doing, Carole King stuff. It's Carole King, but it's not an imitation. Okay, it's a dramatization of her rise to fame, and of course with all her wonderful songs. We lost Mike there for a moment. He's moving around in his car. If you can still hear me, that's okay. Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm just, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So in a moment you'll get your video back up. Somehow that got muted. There you go. Good guy. So obviously you're not on the road. You're not on the road. So so I'm going to go all the way back. So again, obviously Ryan was Carole King. So let's go back because I want a little of the background of how it came to be. Mike, did you propose the show or did they come to find you?
So Stadium plans their shows out about a year in advance. So we already know what the next coming season, well, kind of sort of what the next coming season is. So they approached me. I had expressed interest in directing again. So that was the third show I had directed. Third show? Yes, third show I had directed there. Right? Is that right? I did 12 Angry Jurors. That was the first show I think I directed there. Yes, I'm sorry. So the first show I ever directed was The Murder Room at the Bradley Playhouse, the Players at the Bradley Playhouse. So I did that there. Then I did 12 Angry Jurors at Stadium, Noises Off at Stadium, and then Beautiful. So when they have their season that gets announced, they also will put out an email blast to past directors, past stage managers saying, hey, season's coming up. If you're interested in any of the shows that we've announced, this is through the artistic director and the staff at Stadium. They say, let us know which ones that you're interested in, and we'll let you know once they pick. So then they'll get all the emails from everybody back, and It's like, oh, Mike has done a really good job with this kind of show and that kind of show, so he wants to do this one, and cool. I could put in for, as meaning, like, I could say there were like like this season coming up, for example. There's Murder on the Orient Express coming up next season, and then there's Anastasia coming up. I would like to direct both of those if I want, so I would submit, like, I would love to direct Anastasia and I would love to direct Murder on the Orient Express, and they would go from there. So that's kind of how that works.
Now, when you and you weren't scared at all about this. I mean, not that you up to that point. I see.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know your full background as far as directing, but as you just mentioned, those shows, 12 Angry Jurors is a a stage play, is a drama. It's
Hmm.
but this is a book musical. And, though you don't do all that stuff, that's why I've never done musicals, never directed them. You got to have the choreographer and you got the whatever. So there's
Yeah.
all these pieces that are there, and how much I've never figured out how much a choreographer, when does the director take over and say, I want the people to do this? You know what I mean? Or I don't like the positioning. I mean, the steps are fine, but I need this person so that kind of collaboration, I'm not a good collaborator anyway. So, but now we're going to go. Did you have did you have Ryan in mind, or did you come out of the blue to be Carol King?
So I try as kind of like a, how do I want to say this, as like a matter of principle. I don't like to precast. Now, meaning, if I got Beautiful and I thought of Ryan as soon as I got Beautiful, and then I would keep Ryan in my head the whole time that, for the year that I've been working on it, and then she auditions and I gave it to, like, I don't kind of do that. We as directors, and even as, I feel like, just as like theater movie goers, TV watchers, but creatives in this space in general, we can't help but kind of like mock cast who we would put in a certain thing.
Always.
You know what I mean? We're watching Phantom of the Opera and it's like, man, like, Jim would be great as one of the like owners of the theater kind of thing. You know what I mean? And if you came out in auditions, I'd be like, oh, interesting, cool. So that's good. And then I would call you back, and then I would put you up against everybody. So I give everybody a fair shot, like, straight up. I would say I would be lying if I said that certain people didn't pop up into my head, but I didn't put an anchor on them and they were sold 110%. And I say this because to be kind of full transparency, Ryan wasn't my first choice. I will say it like that. She was in the running, but I was
going to ask, was there a like, you didn't invite her, so that's fine. But then when she shows up, that's great. I have her in my mind, and these other 3 or 4 actors show up, and they're good too. Mm-hmm. So there was a competition.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is we're trying to put on I'm trying to put on the best show possible. We at Stadium are trying to put on the best show possible with the best people possible for the roles. And the debate because it's not just up to me who makes the choices. I do pretty much have like the final gavel, as it were. But my stage manager, like you say, the choreographer, the music directors, and a few other people in the production staff, like the artistic director, they also have a say and stuff. So it's a joint effort of how we're going to go about doing the whole casting. And yeah, there was some stiff competition, and obviously Ryan came out on top. But it's not a barometer of like, oh, Ryan is better than or anything like that. Ryan is a phenomenal actress, as well as the other several women that were up for the role as well. Ryan possessed certain qualities that brought Carol more to life than the other actors did. And again, it's not to say that, like, Ryan is like number 1 and then so-and-so was number 2 as far as talent goes. It's kind of like a spectrum, as it were. Everybody is incredibly talented, but now that we're in the callback section of this show, or in this process, okay, now there are certain nuances that I need as a director with a certain vision in mind. So I give them little nuggets, just a little bit of direction to see how they'll take it, and whatever, the process can be different depending on the show. But then ultimately, yeah, Ryan blew us away. Now,
Miss Ron, when you first of all heard that it was happening, probably looked at the script, or did you think just for size and everything? I mean, the show is, no offense, it's over now, so I don't have to scare you, but the show is on you. Okay, so what was your feeling to audition or to think about it, and then when you got the part, and then we'll talk about what you internalized about Carol King. But let's start about just the auditioning and deciding to do this. Did you talk to your family? Because this was a
Yeah,
bigger commitment than anything. I mean, you're the star.
absolutely.
It's singing. You didn't do a lot of dancing. The show doesn't have choreography like in in a Broadway musical. You weren't dancing around and jumping and
Right.
singing. So tell us about the journey.
Yeah. So I had seen, I think I saw Mike post the audition notice, and I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know who Carol King was. I had not
Oh my
heard of
God.
her. I know. So I looked her up, and because I was like, oh, Mike's directing a show, this could be cool. And I looked her up, and then I realized I knew a lot of her songs. And I immediately was captivated by her story of just being a songwriter. I mean, the fact that I hadn't heard of her, but I knew most of her, a lot of her work, I just thought was crazy and amazing. And so, um, s- at the same time, I had just had a pretty big surgery and I was recovering from surgery. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And actually just started having these like visions of me playing the piano and singing Natural Woman, which is funny because it's the one show she doesn't play the piano for in the show. So I thought it's just an interesting little thing. But I literally was like having these visions of me doing that for an audition. And so I learned the song on the piano and I was playing it all the time, like by myself, because my kids were at school. I'm recovering from surgery and I'm just like, have all this time on my hands. And so I was playing it and singing it a lot at home by myself. And then I kept, like I said, I don't know another word to describe it other than a vision, but I just kept picturing it. And anyway, so then fast forward to the audition, I just was taking it. It was almost like it just presented itself to me, and I was just kind of like, if this is supposed to happen, it will happen. And I didn't tell a lot of people. I mean, I told Mark, my husband, obviously. I don't think I told anyone else. And I I did sing Natural Woman for the audition. I didn't play the piano. But I was also sort of like, I've been having these visions. Are they going to ask me to play the piano? Like, is that what's going to happen? I didn't know. And I went in there very intimidated because, like Mike said, the competition was so fierce. I love to perform. I love to sing. I do play the piano. I have done a lot of regular theater, but I haven't done musical theater since I was a kid. And I would say that I was just incredibly intimidated by the talent of all the musical theater people because they're just amazing. So I genuinely, I felt that I did my best, which I was grateful for in the audition. And then I really, a lot of people know this about me, but my faith is probably the most important thing to me. And so I was just praying about all of it a lot. And I just said that if I'm supposed to do this, let it happen and make it not about me and my talent and let it just be that they see something in me that is what it's supposed to be. And so it was very much that was how the process went. Like I just kind of went into it and I was very nervous, but I just was like, if it's supposed to happen, it will happen. And that's it.
Well, and one of the things we could talk about now, some of the technique of it, and I do want to
Hmm.
get more into the, what it was like, the rehearsal and the performance. Like I said, I saw it twice, and it was amazing. But you do pseudo play the piano. There's a couple of reasons for that. You're not, I mean, in a musical, you want, incredible piano playing because that's a big part of it. In other words, you got an orchestra, but in a show like this, about someone who did all that, recorded and wrote and sang and played the piano. Uh, Probably, after she got really important, they had piano player. But I mean, when she's out on concert, she's playing. We have pictures of that. And so you do play, but you're not mocking it. Totally. You were So talk about, I mean, it's in this, either you told me or maybe it's in the
Yeah.
bio that the orchestra, I guess the leader of the orchestra was also playing piano, I believe. So how did that, and you play several pianos, you play a grand and you play an upright, which at one point is the back is to the audience, I think. So that's okay. In other twists, you do see your hands. So you can't fake it. I mean, you can. They would have done that if they really wanted you, right? I mean, was that a requirement that they play the
No,
piano, or you were
so
hoping that most?
I definitely faked it the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So tell
I
us
will
how that worked.
I will say I asked for the musical score like right. So we auditioned in May and the show didn't go up until October. So
Right.
I got the score as soon as I could and I did learn most of the songs as well as I could on the piano. So I wanted it to look as authentic as possible. And like I said, I didn't really want to tell Mike that I could play some of the songs because I wanted it to just come out. If it was supposed to come out, it would come out. Do you know what I mean? But I remember I took a video of myself in June playing the intro song and I almost sent it to you, Mike, because I wanted to be like, listen, this is an option. But I also was very anxious about it because I was also like, I don't know what a full scale musical is like. I didn't want to put myself in that position where I would have to be playing every single song full out. And, so it was just one of those things where I was like, if it comes up, I will tell him that I can actually play a lot of these songs on the piano, but I'm going to let it be under the surface. And it didn't really come up until the week prior, I think, or like, I don't even remember. I remember a couple weeks before. And I remember the
Yeah.
musical director, Alex, was like, wait, you can play? You can play these songs? And I was like, yeah, sorta, kinda. So I think that helped with the authenticity of it because that's mostly what I wanted. I wanted it to look like she was really, playing. Yeah, so I was playing above that. On that, I was like playing above it. And I don't really know what it looked like to the audience, but hopefully,
Hopefully, again,
yeah.
and again, I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt,
Yeah.
but if you're concentrating on the actor's hands, the show
Yeah.
is in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I was more taken with the singing, your connection to the audience. I mean, all that stuff is I'm sure Michael say, this is part of the little nuggets of an actor that in some shows it doesn't matter. If you, and no offense, but if you say the words and don't knock over the furniture, you're a success. But in this case, it is such a personality piece that if you're not connecting with the audience, acting, singing, and not worrying about is my voice on key, but you look to the audience, they had the spotlight on you, and you just shined, whatever the proper tense is, and it just, you know, so anyway, can you tell us any of the bumps along the way? It was a reasonable, I guess, rehearsal period. And did you have either doubts along? Come on, let's share with the audience.
I
Were
mean,
you
I
kind of
doubt it.
confident?
I was through the whole process. When I got the role, I honestly, genuinely couldn't believe it. But it was one of those, like, genuinely, I could not believe it. But I also was like trying to step out in faith as much as I could because I had went into the process of like, if this is supposed to happen, it will. And then it did. And so I really just had to believe that I was meant to be there for a reason. And so that just carried me through the entire thing, even though absolutely there were bumps and absolutely I was doubting myself the whole time and doubting, you just get in your head and absolutely that was a part of it. But in the end, I think it was just one of those moments where I had no choice but to completely, from my perspective, like take a leap of faith and just trust that it was that I was supposed to be there. So I'll let Mike speak to it, but that's my
Well,
experience.
I need to blow a little smoke up Mike's skirt because again, once I found out that he directed it, it's not just it is a one person show, but there are people who again are from Carole King's life, her husband and whatnot, and then all the other groups that she wrote for, which you see, I don't know, I probably know just this much more about Carole King than you did, Ryan. I did not know her whole life and her trials and tribulations in her personal life. I guess I didn't even know, I assumed that she wrote songs that weren't for her that were done, by other groups, Neil Sedaka, and you can list me some of the other groups. Some of them were, not doo-wop, but blues and
Like Motown.
Motown. Thank you. I knew there was a term for it.
Hmm.
Motown. She wrote for Motown. And again, we won't go into it now because I can't come see it. I'd love to pump that up to go see it, but if it's somewhere and you can go see it, it's great. That it was stories of these groups and how she, at first, nobody wanted to let her write, then they let her write, and then, a couple of groups caught on to her writing, and then they blossomed, so that helped. There was such this interaction, that was great for the music industry. Um, so what? So anything we can come back to this, but I'm gonna move on to my favorite play, Picasso, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then what you guys are doing now. But anything you want to toss in right now, we can wrap up at the end about anything. But like I said,
About Beautiful?
beautiful, yeah, about beautiful.
Yeah, sure. I mean, um, look, with any show, there's going to be some bumps in the road. If nothing, if it goes perfect, that's an anomaly. I think I've maybe been in one show in 12 years that was just like, this was solid. This was like a whole smooth operation. But the thing, like going through those struggles, especially as a director, like I went through some stuff with this show, scheduling and like having to find my actors because we started rehearsal without a full cast for a while. We'd actually we didn't have a 100% full cast until the Wednesday before Tech Week because one of our drifters, one of our tall drifters, he was in another production of Beautiful, and like his show closed on Sunday. He had a 2-day break, and then he came into our show on Wednesday, and then we went up the following Friday. So, so that was a thing, and then also like the costumes for this show, we had I think over 100 costumes. So it was like to kind of touch upon a point, and now we'll close with this when we get to so we can go to Picasso. But something that you said earlier is really kind of was true is that I had directed plays up until this point, and I'm very cinematic when I direct, and my shows are very immersive in that regard. I try to bring the audience into everything as much as possible to, without overloading them and all that. So I added elements to my shows, like in 12 Angry Jurors, there was a lot of music elements. I composed original music for that and underscored the play. So it kind of played out a little bit more like a movie than it did just like a straight play with nothing. And Noise is Off, just is its own thing in and of itself. And I believe these production steps really was sharpening my tool, sharpening iron to get me to the point of getting to Beautiful because I incorporated music with 12 Angry Jurors, not knowing that I always wanted to direct a musical, but I didn't, foresee. So incorporated music because I always wanted that. So I had that element. And then Noise is Off had a front stage and a backstage element in Act Two. And the whole thing turned and talk about choreography for Noise is Off because, in Act Two, people got to be in a certain spot. You know what I mean? Like that in and of itself, composing and choreographing Act Two without a choreographer, because I did all that my own, was crazy. So, like you say, there were so many elements that went into a musical that I was prepared for mentally, but when we got to when those moments did arise, it was interesting, man. It tested me as a man, as like an adult, as it were. It tested me as like it really caused me to grow up a little bit more. And if you're not growing from each experience, I guess this kind of rant is kind of to say, if you're not growing from each experience, then I feel like you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. So all that is to say that Beautiful was the experience that it needed to be. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying it was bad or anything like that. It was great, and it was beautiful. And honestly, with all the stuff that kind of happened, I wouldn't have had it happen any other way. Really, it was it was great. So let's hop over to Picasso.
I have little trophies on my wall. They're mental trophies that go on a little shelf, and Picasso at the Le Pan Agile is at the top. And everyone who came saw it. And these are theater people that just don't go, oh, you were so good. Or the play was so wonderful. How did you learn all those lines? One of the, it was the
Yeah.
people said, wow, that was incredible. And it was because, and I've had other people tell me, and they're right, casting is 99% of a successful production. And I had the best people and it wasn't that I had a lot of choices. You came out of the wood. I had to drag you in because I had no Picasso. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else. The smaller parts were still, it's dragging. And come on, you can do this. But and I knew Ryan. I'd seen Ryan before, but I didn't know her, and I hadn't worked with her before. So in this show, the two of you, and again, I'm not going into the whole. People can look it up. It's a Steve Martin play, which makes it amazing. That man is whacked. He's got snakes in his brain. And he came up with this incredible play, and there's so much wonderfulness in it, and then wackiness of Elvis's spirit appears at the end. I don't. That's not a spoiler alert because the play is over. But in the play, your two characters, you're Picasso, and she is the Germaine, the barmaid, the sexy barmaid, and she is so the two of you, it's not clear as it first starts, as you first meet, that you knew each other. And you're whether Picasso was, I think he was, you're a rake. You Mike, grab women wherever you can. Character, I don't know about your personal. And so
just my wife,
your wife's gonna watch this, so be careful. So I hope
she's cooking dinner. I'll give her a little pinch, you know what I mean?
So in the show, and this happens, and also, and again, I'm not putting down community theater, but this is not a professional theater where people do movies and they're expected to do love scenes and all that. It's you do a play, there's maybe a peck or a kiss in the play, but this one you guys got to do at least one lip lock to make it make any sense to your two characters. So we're doing blocking and we just pass it several times. I don't like to get into too much intricate prop stuff, pick up the glass, pour the what. Well, you're standing there with a script. So we're getting farther along of not needing scripts for certain scenes. And we just came up to that. And you guys had been coming together and breaking up, coming together, and nothing was happening. And I sort of said, well, you guys should kiss. And then we'll let Ryan pick it up from there.
Let Ryan pick it up from there. Oh boy.
Can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. So, okay. So my memory is that when you suggested it, Jim, you asked us at the beginning, you were like, are you okay to do this? And we both said yes the month before, whatever, before we actually started rehearsing. We did the rehearsals. We were coming together, breaking apart, whatever. And then, but when you actually said, okay, why don't you do it? My memory is that we tried. And I just kept I was getting panicky and I was like, I can't do this over and over. And then I think you were like, do you want to do it? Do you want to wait till, I'm trying to remember if Jim, you said something like, let's not do it in front of everyone, or maybe I'm mixing that up. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And right. Because everyone was in the rest of the actors waiting to come up on stage. I mean, it wasn't open rehearsal, but it's still, it wasn't the three of us. And so, I said, well, we can wait till later. We can set something up. And this is my memory. It might not be what happened because, like I said, I'm old, but I think that we just said, okay, skip it. Yes. And we'll back up and do the scene, come together, go apart, and move forward. And you just went in for it.
Yeah. And so I think it helps once we finally just did it. I think it helped, obviously, that Mike and I knew each other before. We had a friendship. There was a level of comfort there that once I got past mentally what we were doing, once I was less, because I had never done a stage kiss before that. And
that was obvious. Because if you've done it, I had a quick side note. I had two friends in high school who were in a show and had to kiss. Here's the kicker. They were brother and sister. Oh my gosh. Yes. So anyway, that was different. But look, Mike is like, what? Yeah. And so, I mean, it was Harvey.
I'm going to not be in this one, director. I'm going to take this one out, buddy. Thank you very much. I'm going to sit this play out for this.
It was Harvey or some one of those comedies. So it wasn't supposed to be sexy, but they were lover or they were boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
What you're saying is absolutely true about what it meant for the show. And this is, again, I'm not saying, I knew this was what it would be. That, and in this video, I am going to drop in photos. So there will be graphics to show, from the show, pictures, pub shots from the show. And there are a couple. There is one, by the way, if you ever get back to ACT, that in the dressing room, Doug Green is blown up, a bunch of pictures. Two of them are from Picasso. And it's like, it's poster size and it's in the dressing room. And it's of you and Mike, where you're sitting behind him and torturing him because you're not going to go any further.
What a great shot.
Pretending he's not, it doesn't bother him. And that picture and all the stuff that led up to it, you're behind him, hand on the shoulder, all that kind of stuff. We didn't even start blocking that yet. So I don't know how it played into it, but it was the most incredible, real, in this crazy comedy, these real moments of the woman trying to get up, we didn't have to know what your really feelings were, but you were you were screwing him. You were screwing with him. That was my take from it. Mm-hmm. And then you get up and just walk away and go back to the bar. And again, a little sidelight, and I'll cut this out, Ryan, if you don't want me to recount it. But when I first met your husband in the dressing room after one of the shows, I had to make it clear to him because he's a big guy. He had his leather jacket on. He's a big guy. And I told him, I said, look, this was Ryan. I did not tell her to paw Mike. All right? I did not tell her to do that. So I don't want you to break my arm. So anyway.
That's pretty funny. Okay, so I need to respond to that. Genuinely, I feel like it's one of those things where I will say that working with Mike, I felt extremely safe. So I don't know. I mean, he is a wonderful, wonderful stage partner. Like truly, there was every element of I can just let go and be the character fully. And whatever that means, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing. Does that make sense? Like I wasn't,
sure.
I didn't pre-plan out like I'm going to put my hand here and we're going to do this. It was just coming through me. And I think that's the thing about Mike and I are both playing characters who are we're experiencing the characters who are experiencing each other, if that makes sense. It wasn't like I'm looking at Mike, I'm looking at Picasso as my character. Mm-hmm. And I hope that he felt the same with me, So,
Mike, your point, counterpoint?
Yeah, sure, totally. So thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. And I feel that with acting, and I try to reciprocate this feeling when I'm directing, is that like when we're doing these awkward moments, whether it's like kissing somebody that we've only known for like a year and change or being kind of ridiculously silly on stage, there's a level of like ridiculous commitment in here in your approach. And at the same time, the ridiculous commitment is also like this let go suspension of what you're doing, but allowing it to happen. And knowing, and this is like a crazy meta thing that I have in my head, knowing that is a thing that has to happen, I need to be the champion for that. As a director, I have to encourage my actors and let them know that I'm your safety net, man. Go as far as you want to go. I'll pull you back if you're going too far, or I'll encourage you to go too far, because some of these things need that. Is that we could do anything. We can do anything. And it's okay. It's okay. Let's be stupid, silly together. We have to be incredibly intimate with each other because we're telling the story. Like I was an American Idiot and I had to mock a love scene on stage like on a mattress over a cover, like it was over a sheet, and I was in my underwear, you know, like it's embarrassing stuff, you know, and I think having that experience early on in my acting career of kind of like one of the first plays I ever did was Sweet Surrender, which is this comedy about bellhops in like this suite and like all these things. Like one of my first shows, I had to kiss somebody, so I had to you know, so I had to kind of sharpen that commitment tool. And I did this with Ryan during Beautiful too, because like she said earlier, you know, there were moments when I picked up on her being incredibly insecure. And I pep talked to her. I'm like, look, bro, like you're here for a reason. I wouldn't have put you in this spot if I didn't XYZ. But also being the leaders of a show, you're also like being the lead in a show, you're also like the leader in the show. Other actors are looking up to you because you are the first on the call sheet, as it were, right? If we're talking about like TV and movies, if you're first on the call sheet, you're the dude. So, or the woman, you know what I mean? So anyway, so I ramble a lot, guys. Sorry. I love talking about this stuff.
I will say again, if it ever came to the point that the kiss, which there's only one, the kiss became a problem, we'd find a way around it. But
absolutely, yeah.
The rest of it still had to happen. Now, maybe that would still not be uncomfortable, just the touching stuff. But, and it wasn't, again, you know, it wasn't impure. We didn't need a modesty coach, but it wasn't, it was, you know, it as you said, it told the story. All right. Now, I want to get into the little nugget I dropped in the beginning about the Wicked Witch of the West and Jesus Christ. So, Ryan, tell us what's next. You are in rehearsal for what, my dear?
Yes, I'll be playing the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz at Stadium Theater. Very excited. It's a very different role than Carole King, but it's a lot of fun. And
she doesn't like music. I've never done musicals before. Does two back to back. What is this? This?
Okay. As I told Jim previously, I'm the one character. I don't sing or dance. I don't do much as the Wicked Witch. Oh. So yeah, I'm literally just, yeah. Yes, but it's fun. It's so fun. It's fun.
It's great for rehearsal. She doesn't have to go to chorus rehearsal. She doesn't have to go to dance rehearsals. She's just. But now, one thing we want to point out now, Stadium has done Peter Pan, and in this. You fly. You haven't done it yet, but tell everyone you are going to fly. Correct?
That is the rumor out there, but we have flying rehearsals scheduled. We just haven't done it yet. So we'll see. I've never done that before.
And I'm assuming like the monkeys fly and you fly and
Yep. Yeah. Wow. So I don't know a lot about it because like I said, we haven't rehearsed it yet, but I'm very excited to see what it's all like. And, you know, I think that's the fun of theater is just you get to do things that when else are you going to do this in your life?
I'm just assuming, again, you're not to that yet, but they may brought it up. There's going to be explosions. I mean, like flash pots and things going off. I'm assuming you can't do it.
Huge pyrotechnics here at Stadium Theater.
Yeah, we'll say. I don't know.
Moving to, on my screen, the bottom person on our threesome here, Mike, you are going to be, I don't think you've started rehearsals yet, or maybe you have, but you are going to be Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So this is the biggest role that I've ever done. Brick in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Jesus. This is we're doing a really cool version of this show where it's classically done. Well, I don't want to say classically done, but JCS has a historical reputation of being very 70s in its approach, or having kind of an avant-garde style. There is a, historical kind of bring back in a way sometimes when they do that. Like the Fox version was kind of this post-apocalyptic with tattoos, but also tattered clothes. The 1970s movie is back, in Jerusalem and all that time, etc. So with our show, our director Will is going to bring it back to, 3 AD and all that stuff, or 33 AD. And, so we're going to be in robes and our set is going to be really very simple, but like it's, I don't want to say too much about it because, but it's good. It's going to be really cool. though this Jesus is a sing, as we call it in theater. This role is the hardest vocally. This is the most challenging vocal role I've ever sang in any show, next to chess. The song that I think that's nuts is the Temple. When they're like, oh, no, no, for the best in town. Like, they're all doing stuff in the temple, then Jesus comes in and it's all mad. It's like, my temple should be a house of prayer, but you've made it a den of thieves. I come in on this note that is not cool, man. It's I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to talk about it. It's really high, but it's great and it's powerful. And our man Steven, who's playing Judas, played Roger in Rent at Stadium, and he did a phenomenal job in that. And he's coming back playing Judas. And he and I, if you as you've heard, nuance is really important to me when it comes to character development and storytelling. And I'm giving him some like micro expressional looks that are giving him some reason to, and it's just the chemistry that he and I have is tense. Lizzie, who is playing Mary, is amazing. She has a very tender and soft voice. Also, at the same time, power with her rock when the rock stuff comes in. And her and my relationship as like Jesus and Mary, it's a great relationship on stage. There are some things, I'm just going to say this, there are some things in this show that aren't 110% biblically accurate. I'm just going to throw that out there. They put together Jesus's like last week in an hour and 40 minutes. So there's going to be some artistic liberties that are, added in there. So the relationship between Mary and Jesus is a little more on the romancy side than what it actually was. Not overtly, but it's a little like sprinkling of it. It's like Jesus really, 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 really cares for Mary. Mary really, 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 really cares for Jesus. And then Judas is seeing this relationship and being like, he's projecting, essentially. You know what I mean? It's an awesome show. Wizard of Oz, I've heard stuff about what they're going to be doing at Wizard of Oz. Don't let Ryan downplay it, people who are going to watch it. Come see Wizard of Oz as it comes out before the show. She's going to be riding that broomstick and that bike like nobody's business. Gabby is going to be coming down in a bubble. If she doesn't come down in an actual poppable bubble, I will boycott. That's not true. I won't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will plug everybody else in the Wizard of Oz. Everyone is amazing. Like I just sit back and watch everyone, and they're all fantastic. So every character is amazing. They're dancing. I'm in awe of. The singing is so good. So it's a lot of fun. It's great.
I asked this before we started, Mike, before you came on, I asked, because I don't know anything about it, I asked, is it some kind of Broadway script or whatever? But she pointed out that it's like the movie. It's not a Broadway, two other composers coming together and do Wizard of Oz. So it's right. If you like the movie, as she mentioned, there's one or two added things, but it's over the rainbow and all the, off to the wizard and whatever. It's all that stuff. It's not Wicked. This is Wizard of Oz, which is important. Now, I do want to wrap up with a little family life here. So, Ryan, tell people again, because I hope this gets a wide berth, that just not people who know you see this. So talk about, what you do, when you're bored and you're not rehearsing. What do you do?
Oh, my goodness. Well, so I'm a math teacher in general. That's all consuming of my regular life. Also a mom of 3. A wife. We're doing the volleyball tournaments, the soccer games, running all over the place. Just there is not a lot of time to do all the things, but I'm doing it as best I can. So just trying to, do all the things.
Now, Mike, as we mentioned, you're a couple years married. You don't have a family yet, but you have a job. You have to do something to make money. Now, Ryan's is a little different. She goes every day. She knows the job at this point is going to be there, and she's going to, and she has a background and she can teach somewhere else if she moves sideways. But you're all sort of, what is it called? Gig jobbing, right? Mostly?
Yeah, I freelance a lot. Yeah. So
okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I freelance a lot. I'm a jack of all trades kind of guy. So I do my primary source of income. I'm a videographer and video editor. So I'll bounce around from project to project. I have been working with one company since 2015 called Video Niche. It's actually the other day I celebrated my 10-year anniversary with them, which is bold to say. Look
Yeah.
at all these
I
grays,
see you
guys.
got the yeah, and then you got the gray and you're letting the hair probably trying to do this without a
Oh
wig
yeah.
because
No,
it'd
no
be
wig.
great.
This is all real. Look how
No,
long
I
this
meant
is.
do the
Ryan, look
shoot.
like
Yeah, it's
I've been growing
perfect.
this out for a year, over a year. Anyway,
Wow.
so so what I'm doing. Okay, sorry, I had to refresh my memory, refresh the page for a second. So I do a lot of video editing work. And like I said, I've been doing stuff with Video Niche for a long time. And Video Niche is a learning management system. I'm just going to briefly go over what they are. They're a learning management system company. Kind of think of it like a privatized YouTube. So if you're let's take Staples. Staples was one of our clients, for example. We want to train our sales people on this new printer that's coming out. So we're going to make a video about it and blast it out to our 3,500
Oh,
sales reps across the state. And they would be housed on staples.videoniche.com or
sure.
whatever. Yeah. So that's
Nice.
kind of what we do. I would go out, film the stuff, so I've had an extensive, even before I got into directing theater, I've been I've been directing for a long time, like just directing non-actors, to be
Yeah,
comfortable on set in front of a camera. That's a chore, and not a chore. I don't mean to say like it's a chore, but that in and of
it's hard.
itself
It's hard.
yeah, it's a difficult task to accomplish. So I got that going on, but in the same vein of video production, I also travel a lot with a company called poker.org. And I'm actually wearing a hoodie by them right now. This is poker.org right here.
Okay.
We cover all things poker media. So we go to the World Series of Poker. We'll go to different tournaments across the United States, even abroad, and just make cool, fun social media content. So I'm also a social media content creator at sometimes, which is interesting. I do a lot of stuff, man. I am not a fan of the 9 to 5. I never have been. Video Niche was a 9 to 5 for a while, but I talked with my bosses to give me the flexibility because this is what I want to do. I want to create, I want to act, I want to direct, I want to tell stories, et cetera, et cetera. So, I've formulated and constructed my life in such a way where my schedule is pretty flexible and also having a decent source of income at the same time. And Chantel and I actually just got back from New York. We were doing acting work off Broadway in an off Broadway production for a week. So we
What's the
try to.
show? What was the show?
So it's still in the works.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
just
music,
yeah.
but we could talk about it. Yeah, it's a musical called Virtually Ours, and it's a fun rom-com musical about virtual dating and like the apps, and like there's like a speed dating comedic scene and like all this stuff. So we go to Chantel and I have been involved with this show for 4 years. We did the table read 4 years ago. We did
Sure.
a staged reading in Rhode Island 3 years ago,
There
and
you
then the
go.
last 2 years we've been in New York. Doing it at different one act festivals, trying to
Yeah.
promote the show, trying to get people to buy it and stuff like that. And we get to work with Broadway people. Last year, worked with somebody who was in the original cast of Some Like It Hot, the original cast of Mean Girls, and she's in the tour of Some Like It Hot right now. One of my buddies, Constantine, he's going to make his Carnegie Hall debut in a couple of months. Like, the networking is unreal with this stuff. So that's kind of what I bounce around a lot. And I'm very blessed, very fortunate to have these opportunities, and be able to kind of be able to do what I love to do. And I don't take it for granted at all, which is, I guess, why I talk so much about it, because it means the world to me.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
it's funny when you were talking about that, like you feel so grateful. I recently, I think after one of my first rehearsals after starting The Wizard of Oz, and I was walking out of stadium. It was like a Sunday afternoon, and the space is so cool. Everything about it is just, I just love stadium, and so I'm walking out, and I'm just I literally thought to myself, just like, I love my life so much. And how cool is it that I get to do this? I just get to come to this place, this beautiful space, and perform. And, and then I get to go home to my family. And it's just cool. It's all amazing. So when you were saying that, I was thinking the same. It's just awesome. So
Stadium's no joke. Like I've been lucky enough to set foot in a couple of different off-Broadway theaters and gone to Broadway productions and stuff. Whomever's watching this, I know this is what we're trying. It's not like a promo for Stadium or whatever, but attend a Stadium theater show.
You guys are Stadium people, so that's why.
Stadium theater is like it's really unlike any other community theater and unlike any other professional theater that I've done. And I'm not saying I've been everywhere up, down, and sideways, but I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of experience, a little bit more than some of the community here. And listen, the perspective that I have of like going out and then coming back to Stadium and being like, yo, this place is insanely professional in its there is nothing like Stadium I've ever seen anywhere, and I've driven across this country.
You can tell from the product. Although I do have to come in the spring. I got the brochure. The Lizzie Rock musical. I'm really going to be interested in that one. We'll just leave that there.
Murder on the Orient Express. There's going to be a train, guys. I'm just saying. I want to build a train so bad. I'm just saying, I want to build a train. I can't say there's going to be, I want to build a train on stage so bad.
And the production
that's what's coming up at Stadium.
The production manager and people like that are going, oh, God.
Wayne, art set builder, I'm going to show, because I have designs for stuff. So I'm going to show him my blueprint to be like, and he's like, we can't do this. They're like, all right. I'll go back.
So once again, I started this in November, tapping you people, and I'm glad that we finally got to do it. And I'm gonna be seeing both shows. I hope everyone out there will see both shows as well. And I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
And before I wrap up, I have one little treat for you. There isn't any accessible, at least a video of Ryan's performance in Beautiful, but she was kind enough to share a video of her singing, which I did want to include here. It was she did it recorded during the chaos, if you will, of and the noise, as she points out, of COVID. But what's interesting that 2 or 3 years later now, I think it can apply to what we're going through right now. Give a listen.
I wanted to share a song with you that has been really meaningful to me at different points in my life, and now more than ever. It's the song You Speak by Audrey Assad. The lyrics are really beautiful. The first line of the song is, you liberate me from my own noise and my own chaos. And I don't know about you, but my own noise and the chaos of the world is just really loud right now. And the song is just a good reminder that our true confidence, our true peace, our true rest comes from being in the presence of the Lord and just and in the quiet. And so I think about Psalm 46:10, the verse that says, "Be still and know that I'm God." And there is something about just quieting our own noise before Him, where we are actually allowing Him to speak to us. You liberate me from my own noise and my own chaos, from the chains of a last alone. You set me free. You liberate me from my own noise. You satisfy me till I am quiet and confident in the work of the Spirit.